All right, it's day 2. We survived day 1. Now we're in day 2.
Here we are.
We get to do this again. I'm Doug White from Security Weekly News. We're here in the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas at OneCon 25, so that's pretty cool and fun. I had not been to this before. Cameron Sipes is joining me, and Cameron is the Director of Product Marketing for Cloud Security at SentinelOne, and he leads the go-to-market strategy and customer storytelling for Singularity Cloud Security and innovation with cloud service providers.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we were very happy that you got to come on. I think you have some interesting perspectives. They told me that you had done there was a bunch of new announcements and things like yesterday. I guess that you want to give me a little of that.
Yeah, totally. So I'll start with some of the pure cloud security stuff.
Okay.
And then once we've unpacked that, I'll kind of zoom out and talk about our work with AWS in particular, and the innovation we're doing with their cloud. So yeah, so for pure cloud security, we made 2 big announcements. And maybe if I zoom out, I think y'all know the theme of OneCon is convergence, right? Converge. And I think the announcements we made with cloud security play into that, is that we're really converging data security, vulnerabilities and signals, and unified exposure management with these 2 announcements. So what are they? One was DSPM, so data security posture management, which by the numbers, it allows customers to discover, inventory, and classify all of their sensitive data across all their cloud data stores. But why does that matter? No one is trying to breach your cloud just for the sake of it, right? There's something they're looking for. And in, the year 2025, that's likely going to be sensitive data in a public or private cloud. And what we actually say is that's the mission target, right? DSPM helps you, of course, all the great compliance use cases, right? Is you want to know all of your sensitive data, where it is, and label it. That's great. But for the purpose really of cloud security is now I get to know what that mission target is. What I've now discovered and labeled my payment data, some of my customer PII, what have you. So that's kind of the mission target. But then the other announcement we made was cloud attack paths. So this really builds on what we've already done with our unified exposure management. We're really proud with some of the stuff we have out, like Offensive Security Engine allows you to do simulated and automated red teaming to basically say, hey, these are the vulnerabilities that really matter. But we're seeing attackers getting more and more sophisticated. So stack ranking individual vulnerabilities is only so helpful. What I actually want to know is, what does that whole path or cloud attack path look like? So what does cloud attack paths actually do? It visually maps connected vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and alerts into a path from initial access to mission target. I'll give you an example. You may have a vulnerability of an exposed port to the internet. Fine. But cloud attack paths can show you that a bad actor could take that initial vulnerability, and maybe you have a misconfigured policy for your identity and access management. And so then they can escalate privileges, and then maybe they create a new misconfiguration to access a certain data store. But since they elevated those privileges, it doesn't look like a misconfiguration, right? It looks like someone with those privileged access did a privileged thing, and now they get to that mission target of payment data, right? Now, hey, you should still go fix that open port to the internet. I wouldn't advise you having that anyway, but that's why those 2 announcements really go so well together. Is DSPM defines that mission target, and cloud attack paths, really connects all of these vulnerabilities and misconfigurations that may look less severe in isolation, but then when stringed together, it allows security teams to really prioritize the vulnerabilities that matter.
Well, yeah. So I want to talk about data a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And because one of the things we saw in all audit, I mean, whether it was 25 years ago or it was last month, was this very expanding data surface.
Yes.
That you didn't used to have. I mean, even when it was just this, we were doing audits literally with, isolated devices that it was overwhelming. Because if you go to a customer, a client, in my case, and you say, do you know where all your data is? They will say yes. And then you say, show me.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, you want to see it. And I mean, the first time I ever did that, we were running this program called Dump ACL.
Okay.
We were just trying to figure out on one machine who had access to what. And, it was 100,000 files and 100,000 permissions, and the next thing you knew, it was 100,000 pages of how all this stuff is there, and it very quickly came to me that I can't possibly fathom this. So how do you think customers, as this expands and this threat surface is just now worldwide,
Yeah.
how do you think customers use this product to get to that point where they can go, I know where my data is?
Totally. I mean, I think what you're articulating is a much broader GRC data governance strategy that every customer needs. And I'd be lying to you if I said SentinelOne will solve every GRC data discovery issue across. And I think what you articulated so well there is cloud is only one element of your digital estate, right? DSPM is not going to discover the Excel file you have saved on your local drive, right? And that's why we partner with a lot of the leading broader data security vendors, and that's kind of why I framed that point on, for us, DSPM has that core use case of what you're talking about is I'll limit just to cloud to say, hey, across Azure, AWS, Oracle Cloud, public cloud or private clouds, Alibaba, pretty much we can integrate with anybody. You can discover all of the data stores that you have. And I think that if I zoom out, I think what articulated well is just the prolific adoption. It wasn't so centralized that only one data team in one organization. It's basically any of the cloud accounts you have associated with your organization that you connect to DSPM. We will be able to discover, inventory, and apply a sensitivity label, right? Like payment data would be quite sensitive. Your random workbook, or like the notes that I took to prep for this discussion, maybe not so much, right?
Yeah.
So that allows us to do that on the cloud surface. And again, for us, for me at least in cloud security for SentinelOne, yes, compliance. We want to help people be able to do that for the cloud surface. But for us, it really is kind of a means to an end for that mission target, to help cloud security teams know what vulnerabilities they need to shore up. But when you do get into that broader, well, what about this laptop? What about this device? That's where, every organization is going to have to think much broader than just the DSPM solution. Well, yeah, fair enough. That's probably more time than.
But I do think that you're moving towards this sort of cloud store being most of that.
Yes, I think if you're, not to say that this is 100% of the time, but banking, I'm just going to keep going to payment data because it's the one most people can really conceptualize. Like payment data for pick your favorite bank isn't usually on laptops, right? Like that's a broader data governance and policy that organization needs to have. And fact of the matter, in 2025, a lot of companies are really mature and have moved that data to the cloud. And so that's why we've laser focused to say, hey, there are edge cases where maybe you have some payment data on a hard drive and you need to fix that. But for us, we're going to focus on the sprawling data store, right, across multiple multi-cloud vendors. Like just think about actually, if you weren't able to use a technology like this, actually going counting it all, right? Like that's kind of the exercise. It's like I need to log into every account and say, do you have Azure Blob? Do you have Google Cloud Storage? Do you have AWS S3? Okay, now what's in it? And this just basically does that inventorying for you in the surface where the most valuable data for an organization and for an attacker likely lives at this point in time.
I think they're going to start converging that into, we have to get away. We were starting to do that years ago with HIPAA. We were going to,
Sure, that's a great point.
we were going to doctors because here was a doctor who, some of them were just writing in a book, but we had doctors walking around with laptops, and we were like, is you saving that there, that patient data?
Yeah.
Or are you saving that somewhere else? And so I think we started locking those down and going, okay, you do not have local storage. So we were making these essentially zero client devices because then all that data was in a central place. Now that was a local central place, on a server, but now you're seeing people push that up into AWS, pushing it up into Google or whatever.
Totally. Yeah, and customers can definitely use DSPM to do that, but now instead of physical surfaces, now in the cloud surface. I'll just extend your example. Let's say a healthcare organization has, they're putting some patient data in an S3 bucket in Amazon. They're putting some patient data in Azure Blob in Azure. And maybe your organization's policy is, no, we want it centralized. Well, great. DSPM is going to flag and say, hey, you've got patient data here and here. And now an internal GRC or security team can come in and say, hey, guys, we got to clean this up. And it all needs to be in S3, or it all needs to be in Blob with a certain level of encryption. Right. And there are some additional, like what we've announced today is really kind of the core DSPM use case. We do have some great capabilities that are coming later that will better help folks understand the flow of data, because then that becomes incredibly powerful, right? Not just where it is, but where did it come from, where's it going?
That's what I want to see you do. I mean, because if I come look at it, I'm not as adamant that it has to be one central store. I like it being in the cloud, but I need you to tell me what's there.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if you've got 15 blobs and they're scattered all over the place because they're optimized for locality or whatever, I want it encrypted, but I need you to know where it is, what it is, and how you're handling it and who has access to it, in the cloud, because I don't really want you to have local stuff, because people were taking these home, plugging them into home networks, plugging in flash drives, et cetera, and their kids are using it to play Roblox.
Yeah, and so I want to pick on something you just said. I want to know where it is, what it is, where it is, and how it is, and who can use it. So I think DSPM does the what it is and where it is. Right? Where is it? What's the sensitivity? How should I feel about it? But then when you start to layer capabilities like attack paths, that gives you the answer of how it is. Is it encrypted? Does it have the right configurations? And then who has access to it? Right? That's where these two things really, very rarely will I ever talk about them separately, right? Because they have such a better together message, at least for us.
But I think, and I call it the fog, of your organization, because you've gone from there's the mainframe,
Yeah,
to to this, and now we've moved off here, and I don't know where it all is. And I mean, even just like this old dinky laptop is connected to Google Drive, it's connected to Amazon, it's connected to OneDrive, et cetera, and I'm saving data in those places, and I don't have anything valuable, just so you know. And but if I was doing this in an enterprise context, I might have something very valuable here that I'm working on. Like my wife works for a bank.
okay, yeah,
and so that laptop has to be 100% locked down, and all of them are remote.
yeah.
So that means that's not sitting in a locked room that I can see, and that worries me. But I do think we're going toward a decentralized model.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where endpoint detection and response becomes really important too. And I'm certainly not the expert there. I'm the cloud guy. But yeah, you're talking about, hey, great, you're able to detect and do all the great stuff, Cam, that you talked about in the cloud. But what about all of the, the rest of that digital estate, like an endpoint? And that's where, we've talked endlessly about how we lead in endpoint detection and response, and that's some of the more capabilities there.
Yeah, I've talked to some people about that too.
Yeah.
The other thing I do want to talk to you about was about that cloud attack path business that you brought up. So again, it's the same problem to me. I mean, as an auditor, is that I want to know, how does somebody get from this to my medical database data in the cloud?
Yeah.
So is that what cloud attack path
Exactly.
is doing?
Yeah, and what's really cool is it can do it on pre and post compromise. Okay. Now, post compromise, incredibly important. Don't get me wrong, right? Like unfortunately, bad things will happen. And you need to know that deep trail or path. I'm trying to find synonyms for path, so I keep saying it so much. And it can show you what happened. But what is really powerful is we want to be preventative, right? And so kind of to that example that I gave you earlier, where it's like any cloud security vendor worth their salt can tell you that, hey, here's a vulnerability, you have an exposed port, or hey, here's a vulnerability, you have way too privileged access to this cloud resource. But what cloud attack paths does is string those things together, is to say, hey, if someone knows that this exposed port is here, and then you have too much of a permissive resource that it's connected to, they can move laterally that way. right? And that's exactly what it does, is to show them that path. So again, like I said, if you have an exposed port to the internet, please go shore that up. However, it might seem somewhat innocuous if you don't have the broader context that, oh, step 1, 2, 3, and now I'm at payment data. Whoa, right? It's showing customers, hopefully before a bad thing happens, that step 1, 2, and 3 exist and can be connected.
Port 3389. Don't do it.
You heard it.
And don't
You heard it.
expose your console ports. We see that a lot.
It is crazy. We did a survey. We called it the Cloud Security Survey for 2025. We surveyed 400 cloud security practitioners, leaders, and it was with that we also did a risk report. So we kind of paired these two reports: what we heard from practitioners, what we saw in the wild, and hey, Gen AI is a real threat. There's a lot of advanced technologies that are coming in. However, I shouldn't say Gen AI is a threat. It presents real risks. However,
It'll be Gen AI.
the number one cause of cloud breaches is still misconfigurations, and the number 2 is still exposed credentials. Right. So there is still an emphasis we need on getting the basics right. So I totally hear you there.
Combine them together and make it a misconfiguration where you put all your credentials in a bit bucket that everybody can access.
You're giving me nightmares.
We've seen these nightmares
Yeah.
where you're going like, why did you do this?
Yeah.
There's a text file with all the, and you're like, what are you thinking? And they're like, oh, we thought those bit buckets were safe. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I was like, I'm out. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I don't know, sell used cars or something to get to.
Well, and when you talk about the sprawl, right, and it's just it feels like such an impossible task sometimes for security teams and cloud security teams to deal with all of that, and that's why so much of what we do in our cloud native security CNS product and our broader CNAPP portfolio is about prioritization, right? Again, any security vendor worth their salt can give you a list of vulnerabilities, fine, but like, where's that text file on this guy's laptop for me to go solve, right? And that's really what we're focused on, is not just the long trail of stuff, is hey, what are the 3 things that you need to focus on tomorrow? So
I think that's really good. Well, thanks to Cameron Sipes for being here.
thanks for having me.
From SentinelOne, and I'm Doug White for Security Weekly News, and we're going to have more content today from OneCon 25. This interview was sponsored by SentinelOne. Visit securityweekly.com/OneCon if you want to learn more. Thanks.
Thanks.